This is another episode of Hot Take Point Made, aka your favourite show that isn't always weekly, even though that's the thing. In theory, this should actually be the easiest show to ever arrange. It's just same 3 people every week. All we have to do is find 1 hour in a whole week when we're all 3 of us free.
It's tough.
So listen, I made that sound easy. That's like when fans go, "You've just got a top frag and have like a couple of star players." Like, listen, mate, that's harder than it seems. So, sounds easy to set up. It isn't actually. Then again, though, I will also say, to be fair, actually, one thing we have done a good job on this show is, but I'm going to challenge you this week, is in general, people haven't watered down the takes too much. That said, this is why I say I'm going to challenge you, though. There are some ones where kassad is doing that thing, if you noticed, Maui. I want to get your take on this, which is his actual real hot takes he brings to the show. Sometimes aren't even hot takes. They're just like, this team should sign this player. You're like, what the fuck even is that? Like, you haven't thought, like, does anyone think that? Does anyone disagree? But then it's okay, though, because as we say, inevitably, in about 48 minutes, he'll accidentally say the hottest take of the show, like, fucking maybe just Sob should be in Vitality, so he'll just say something like that, I guess. So who even knows at this point? So I can't complain. He'll accidentally bring out a banger at some point in the show, no doubt.
You have to keep people, guessing you. You never let them know your next move. Sometimes you have a good take, sometimes you have a shit take. Most of the times the shit take, like it's fine.
I mean, I'll give you this. I will say, people definitely can't say you're totally predictable. Like, they definitely can't guess all your future takes. I mean, as I said, some of the Man hot takes would be impossible to guess. But, aside from that, it's all good. So who has the first take for this episode? That's the question. And listen, let's not start with some fill. Let's just start with a good take. Who's got a good take?
Maui?
I went first last time. I have one. I don't know if it's filler, but it's almost like we're getting a... It's kind of like how when you watch an anime and the episodes that it's like 1 out of every 15 episodes on these long shonens are just recap episodes.
Okay.
You just see the same thing again. They've kind of juiced it up a little bit by adding a little bit of character development on the very tips and ends. So we're just bringing back an old classic, okay? It's just gotta stick with the hot take.
What are we doing here? Where are we going?
We haven't made this take for I think 6 months, so we got to make it again. This will be Rain's final year on FaZe.
Chance to be a FaZe thing at this point. I know, fucking hell, man.
It's a rerun. It's a little bit of a rerun, but okay, we got to address this. Okay, news came out 3 hours ago of the time that we're recording this, that FaZe are benching a liege. They've signed Jacob. And this is ridiculous. Okay, this is ridiculous. You had one of the top T-side players in the world. You had a top 5 T-side player in a liege. Yeah, he sacrifices some of the rounds. Sometimes he does grief a little bit, like he gets a little excited when he gets that first and second kill. He goes for the third. Sure, there's some problems there. But to be unable to find consistency with a guy that pretty much was a bastion of consistency on your offense, which is now one of the harder sides. I think T-side is clearly the harder side now. How are you not keeping this guy around? I understand that maybe on the vibe check, he didn't quite pass because everybody on FaZe is so loose and so free and just free-flowing, but also kind of follows what Kerrigan is saying. But if you're unable to use a liege and what he was able to put up as an individual, even through a dysfunctional phase, you gotta point inwards a little bit. You gotta look inwards at yourself if you're FaZe Clan now and say, okay, what are the consistent factors that have been with us throughout our clear downfall? And those would probably be Neo, Rain, Kerrigan. Okay. You would even maybe want to start pointing it at Brokey lightly, but I almost feel like Brokey is more of a symptom of the problem than actually what's causing it. I don't think he's always causing what the issues are, because he kind of has to try to make up some messed up situations sometimes. Either way, this has got to be, for me, where FaZe finally say, okay, we had a top 20 player in a liege. We're getting a Jacob guy that is highly touted, that he was the best guy on Apogee, BetClick, whatever you want to call that team. It's changed names over the last 9 months, I've noticed. But if they don't eventually say, Rain, it's time, we're moving on, then I don't. Then FaZe is just more lost than I even thought was possible.
Did I do it, Duncan, or you?
Go for it.
You were preparing your.
Remember, I think he made it all
I know
about
you like Elise.
Yeah, it's the thing. I've got some stuff coming later.
It up.
No, I've got stuff coming later on that one.
Oh, okay.
It's mainly about Rain, this take, though. That's the key point. The key take is what.
No. Yeah, of course.
Do you believe it?
Of course. The thing is like, Rain is like kind of drags you into the point of Elise getting benched, right? The Rain question, because like, what is FaZe doing at this point? Is it the loyalty they're playing on? Like loyalty, we were champions of Antwerp or whatever the Stockholm was. I can't remember the major. And now we're going to be loyal to these players till the end of the CS2. Like, it's clearly that something needs to be done in FaZe in order for them to keep up with the top teams like Vitality, Spirit, and so on, right, Maus? You have the recipes, you have the players available. Some of them might be a little bit pricey, but not like Yosuke's and your other super top-tier players, right? You see the teams like Spirit is willing to make a change or two even, and you are just sitting there bringing Jacob and like removing Elise of all people, who is probably the best player in that team by far. The only one who is kind of close to him, but still inconsistent is Frozen. And everybody else is very replaceable. Yes, Kerrigan might be the IGL, the GOAT IGL, and everything else, but still, maybe you need a different direction with Elise. Maybe Elise doesn't like to play like that. Maybe the coach is the problem. Maybe something else is the problem, because like Elise is a player that is there to improve your game, and I think they brought him because of that, because they lost Robs and they wanted to kind of change something. The role was not fitting for both players. But the thing is, like, for me, not releasing Rain a year ago and half a year ago and now just shows me that either FaZe is playing the loyalty card, which is stupid enough, right? Like Fnatic is doing with Crims, for example, or they just have no clue what the fuck to do, or is it maybe Kerrigan that's choosing the players and making the roster changes, that he's loyal to Rain and he doesn't want to stop playing with it. He doesn't see the fact in front of his eyes, and the fact that they cannot move forward and continue fighting with these teams that are now at the top. So for me, it's not just Rain that needs to be done by the end of this year. It's more than Rain. It should be more than Rain. You said it, maybe Neo, maybe Kerrigan, maybe even Brokey, right? Because Dexter is still there, available for loan, for buyout, for whatever, right? And he proved that he can play at some level that's higher than Brokey. There are players to replace on that aggressive role spot instead of Rain. Like, I'm pretty sure that Dirts is not the happiest in Liquid, and he would probably go to FaZe if needed. And there are a couple of more names that you can go for, right? To kind of build around Elise and maybe, keep that player as because he's in his prime still. And then after that, you figure where you want to go. But benching Elise, keeping Rain, for me, makes no sense at all. And I can agree with Maui that it has to be the last season that we see Rain in FaZe.
Put it this way, I don't hate it as a hot take. It is a milder one to start out with. Like, put it this way, I don't know anyone who actually, aside from I'm a fan of Rain, thinks he's a top player or even a top player at his position. Like, no one even makes that case. So I will say the reason it's a hot take, Maui, is because I do think actually there are a lot of fans where just like their initial emotional reaction to the notion of like, you should bench Rain, is that whole thing of like, the traitor, he is FaZe Clan, he has been in the team for X thousand days and he was the original one. Like, it's all that like fucking nostalgia trip shit, isn't it? It's like the vibe that if you're a FaZe fan, you're a Rain fan to some degree. The problem I have is this. I don't think even that angle works. That's why I actually agree. Like, I actually think essentially your hot take should come true. And I actually don't hate it as a hot take, because in fact, I'll build on that hot take. If this isn't the last year of Rain's career, then FaZe will be a literally irrelevant team in Tier 1 for every year he remains in the team. Because the main problems you have is this. I have a couple of angles here. So it goes like this, right? First of all, he did that interview himself quite recently where the headline was like, I'll probably just play like 5 more years in FaZe, which is like, excuse me? This FaZe, not like a FaZe Academy or something, or like FaZe Seniors. Like, bro, if that's true, then my hot take is going to completely come true. FaZe is done, mate. If you're playing in 5 years, like, it's over. Because here's another thing I want to point out, right? You know when people do that thing where they go, age is just a number. No, you're wrong. What I hate about that take is they always do what you don't do when you're trying to make a generalised point, which is to pick the outlier. Like, you can't, I'm sorry, look at Carrigan and go, see, age is just a number. Oh, you only had to pick the greatest IGL of all time. Like, the whole premise there is, I think everyone agrees with this, like, we just gave up. We all know his hands have been shot for about 7 years. We just gave up on that because his mind's so good, we sort of say, we'll make it work. If anything, we're making excuses even for that. If the age was no number, then he'd be like the best right now at that role, which he isn't, is he? So that already that angle doesn't work. What you really mean is, if you are a super exceptional player, Carrigan or one of the IGLs, or maybe like a NiKo could maybe do it a bit more as like a star. But aside from that, actually most players, and spoiler, Rain's doing neither of those roles. Absolutely, age is a number that matters. Like, by the way, Rain himself was way better 2 years ago, way better 5 years ago. Mate, we go back 10 years ago, he was actually one of the best players in the world. Like, it's actually nuts how much people are just ignoring that his drop off. And the reason I hate it is this, because what they're trying to do, they did it with Olaf Meister, they would have done it with Forrest and Nip if he'd have stayed, is they want to do that concept, kassad, from sports, especially sports like football, of like, it's a one club man, you know, Kobe Bryant in basketball, Steven Gerrard. What they're missing here is this, though, is I always tell people, like, you have to consider, like, esports time frames are more condensed than real sports. Like, in the same way as in sports, in the NBA, in the 80s, you could have a core of players that played together for 10 years. Like, if you play together for like 3 or 4 years, that's a good run now in the NBA. So in the same way, in my opinion, in esports, 1 year is like 3 or 4 years in real sport, or 5 years or something, mate. So Rain absolutely cannot just stay longer. Like, here's the problem. If he wants to be a one club man, well, then get drafted in that retirement letter, mate, because that's it. Like, that's the only way this works. Now, by the way, I didn't tell you to retire. If you want to keep playing CS, just drop the whole I have to be in FaZe Clan thing and we can do it. Do you know what? Do you want to play in Passion UA? Do you want to be in a fucking, you know what I mean? With teams out there, you can play. Do you want to be in OG? Do you want to go to Fnatic? You could probably be in these teams, mate. The problem is, and this is the same thing I told Forrest back in the day when he would come back, it's like, you can play, mate, you just won't be in a top team and you won't be in the team you choose to be. So first of all, I actually think it's a good take. Secondly, they've reached the point in this team now where it's not even that Rain has to go. I agree with kassad. Look, I would have my bias towards Carrigan. I think he brings something extra to the game. But here's the thing, pick one of the two. If you really love Rain that much, you think he's so good, and he's, you know, by the way, he does still have like 1 in 5 games and have like a decent game, you know, where you go, hey, he's not bad. His mechanics don't look terrible. He doesn't look totally washed in the game, but you can just tell he's like the player that's had his best years along behind him. Then, okay, then we have to fire Carrigan. And if you're not open to that conversation, then you're just not serious about FaZe Clan being really good anymore. Because I do think you've gotten to that point in their careers now where you can't have both at the same time. You can't have Rain and Carrigan. You have to pick one or the other, and you have to reformulate FaZe Clan. But I do think one could stay. I could believe one of them could do the role and you could find some exceptional. Or the other angle, and this is now obviously the ship has sailed, this is why I'm just going to bury this narrative now. The other angle, like the simple ad, is if we're keeping Rain and Carrigan, then we better actually somehow be adding a player who was just one of the best in the whole world. Like a guy who can do like simple Z-Woo donk shit where they're just 1.5 times the output of the other player. And then it'll make up for all the hands of the old guys. No problem. Then you know what? Maybe it all works out and then a great call. Because that's the thing that really bums me out about this move, essentially, is people actually have missed this detail, Maui. It's why actually one of the rare times where stats nerds have actually come up with some good shit is the joke is actually you couldn't almost have asked for more on the T side from Elige. In fact, Carrigan's getting one of the best T side win rates of any team in the world. Like, surely all the rest of it is on all the other players and how the TT side works, what the map pool is. It's all the other, but instead everyone has done that thing which Chad only did in terms of like he was just trying to like stir attention. If you ever listen to Chad's explanation on that episode, he didn't actually mean it was Elige's fault directly. He meant more like Elige being added is what messed it up. So it's more like FaZe adding him maybe was the mistake, not how Elige played. But I do think a lot of fans believe that, mate. I mean, by the way, here's one area where I actually, for a moment, turned fucking evil and become like kassad about Falcons, is when NiKo had the fucking gall. I know he just meant it as a passing comment in that ESL video. You know, the one where it was the GOATs riflers, where it was him and it was Rops and fucking Donk. And then he makes that comment about FaZe of like, oh, I think Elige just needs to play better. It's like, cocksucker, you just asked for fucking fucking Kiyosuke to come to your team where you already got MongolZ for millions and millions and you're there, you fuck. Like, how dare you ever call someone out like that after you're coming last place in tournaments with those players, by the way, and like a $10 million roster, and then Elige has to play with broken down Brokey, who shouldn't even be in the team, and Rain and Carrigan at the end of fucking time, where they're going like, I was there, Gandalf, I was there when CS was first made by Gooseman. Like, he has to, frag out like you 10 years ago, like, mate, chance me. I'd love to just swap your fucking roles around. I'd love to put Elige and Falcons tomorrow with that squad, and you play with Carrigan and them. You play with Brokey cocksucker. Because you know what I hate about that? This is why I'm going at NiKo. I know he just meant it as in, like, if you're a star player and you have, like, a top team, you have to perform no matter what. I get that, right? But here's my problem. He's doing exactly what I think FaZe fans are doing. In his brain, he's going, I can't say anything about Rain. Rain was my boy, and he was really good when I played with him, like 6 years ago or something, for fuck's sake. And then he's also doing that thing of like, Brokey was pretty good when I first got there. Again, like fucking 6 or 7 years ago. And by the way, Brokey was really good even last year, but he isn't this year, is he? So my problem is, I think he's making it seem like Rain and Brokey would be as good as he remembers them if Elige played well. Whereas I think it's the other way around. I think they're fucking holding Elige down and making him look like a bitch. So I agree with you. I think this will be the last year. And if it isn't, then build into my hot take. If it isn't, then I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of FaZe for the rest of CS, because it's just going to be over now. This reminds me of when you do just let an old player in sports stay for too long. Except the difference is, here's the key difference. In sports, you don't have to make them the starter, do you? You can have them be a bench player, you can have a bench rotation. In CS, they have to be the starter if they're in the team. That's the problem that kills you. So I do think this is the end. I think this is over, boys. I'll even say this. I even think, like I said, just to tie into what I said at the beginning, I even think the idea of let's keep the fans happy, that doesn't even make sense, because I'll give you two quick angles. One, fans who are NA and FaZe fans love Elige, you fucking idiots. Think of the pop he got at the major. They want Elige to be in your team. If you ask the fan right now who's an NA fan of FaZe, I think they would choose Elige over it. Two, they also, by the way, were enormous fans of the simple move. If you'd said to fans, sorry, we have to retire Rain, who you all love, but don't worry, we're keeping Elige and we're signing simple, I'm pretty sure all the fans would go, oh, poor Rain. Anyway, what time's the rosters playing next? Like, everyone would be hyped as fuck. And I'll give you the last one, actually. Here's why I also hate this specific move. Because you know the rumour recently was that weird one that said, like, just Twists would be replacing Elige, which to me never made any sense at all. Because actually their roles aren't even vaguely one for one. The joke is, if you actually said we're kicking Rain, but we're bringing Twists for Rain, I think everyone would be super hyped. That actually would be a fucking crazy. I think every fan would be right back on board with FaZe, even if, by the way, they'd themselves be a bit delusional, be imagining Twists when he used to be there 2 years ago. So I just think this move actually doesn't work at all. I'm with you. I actually do think this, like, essentially, Rain is the pivotal piece, because I just don't see how he can be there in like 2 years and they can be a team compete for majors and shit like that. You know, like, I feel like people still think. Isn't this really, by the way, to wrap it up, isn't really the main problem in FaZe? Nobody, including FaZe, really knows how they did capture that magic in playoff scenarios and that. So, like, we're all just trying to do, like, cargo cult shit to just make it happen again, but no one really knows how. They don't even seem like they do. It's why it was almost fitting they did that stupid last run with Rops, where the team was dead and he was definitely going to leave no matter what. It doesn't even make sense, does it?
For me, go, sorry.
Well, I just adding on to the point of, I mean, the fans and what they would want. I mean, what FaZe fans want is winning. And they want some cultural continuity. That's the phrase I've heard used in regular sports to keep on for. Like, you keep a guy that is a legacy player for a little bit longer than you otherwise would. Just for cultural continuity so that the fans can attach themselves. You already have a few of those. I mean, you already have Brokey and Carrigan right now. If you want to really go back to some of the major victories and everything like that. You don't need to bog down your team with 3 out of 5 of the players being guys that were there 3 years ago. You just need a couple. Sometimes you only need one. Sometimes you even just make the guy a coach. Like the fan. That's fan service. You know, you could just even have an assistant coach. Like, I think legitimately some people are Maus fans just because they're like, well, I can't really root for the old Astralis because that's kind of gone. So I'm just going to root for Maus. Like, I've actually heard that before from other people. So if you just remove Rain and bring in one more up-and-coming player, I think also the thing is that FaZe have made all these really big-name signings anyway. So what people love with FaZe Clan is that you have some of that continuity, but you also have big names being added. Adding a name like Jacob for Elige, who is arguably your biggest name right now. Like even though Frozen statistically is better than Elige carries more social cachet right now than practically any of them but Kerrigan. I think like people might overestimate Reigns' influence where really he just has the occasional tweet, gets a lot of likes, sure, but in terms of actually putting himself out there, making content regularly, Kerrigan and Elige are sort of carrying that for FaZe right now. So I don't think that this is the right move just because it just feels like a vibes move. Like if I'm gonna actually grade the move, it just feels like they're trying to recapture some energy where, yeah, like Elige can be a bigger personality than probably somebody like Jacob is, but he's also so much more of a wild card, that Jacob guy. Like I know he's sharp. Like I would describe him almost like how Kassad described Matisse when he was joining G2. Like he's really sharp, you know, he's really clean with it, but he's not the same player. He's not gonna give you the same numbers and output versus top teams at all.
Probably. The thing is, like, I've been listening both of you and everything they said, and for me, it just comes down to one thing, really, and the conclusion is just one thing, really, that FaZe, based on obviously the fact also that they lost Robs for free, and who else left for free before him?
Twist. I'm guessing.
Twist to Liquid, Twist to Liquid. It seems to me that FaZe is not really switched on when it comes to CS division, and the only influence is coming, and the too much of an influence is coming from Kerrigan, right? And then he's the one, even in the interviews, Kerrigan messaged me. Why is Kerrigan messaging? Like, that's not how it's supposed to be. Like, it seems to me that FaZe management is switched off completely of the transfers, of the values, of the thing that just Maui said when it comes to like social media and like fans with Elige and North America and content with him and like all these things, not to mention the in-game, you know, impact that he has. They're just completely out of it. And then Kerrigan is there, probably who in his mind thought maybe he couldn't work with Elige. Maybe Elige is too toxic or something. I don't know. Like, we don't know. Obviously, you know, there are things that we are not aware of in the team, but unless that's the case, I see no valid reason for him not to be in FaZe still and be the future of this team. And I don't care if they want to like have the identity lost. If they don't want to have the identity lost, like, you know, the old FaZe, the magic, the blah, blah, blah. Like the teams with identity are always cool to follow, right? Like Ants in the back of the most recent Ants. You know, the one with Madden and Snappy and Sampias and the successful one. It had identity, like people liked watching them. The old Ants, obviously, with Alexi, and then there are several more teams, but FaZe is a championship team. They are not a playoff team. They should be a championship team, right? A championship org. And for me, it seems like that, maybe. That Kerrigan simply has too much influence in everything that's happening. He's too loyal to some people, and they are not going to move forward unless they do some changes. Like, in all aspects of the org, not just the roster changes.
Tell you what, let's do a fan take. How about that?
Okay. All right.
Here's a good one. Right, Fighter Pilot. Oh, by the way, if you want to submit a fan take and appear on a future episode, 2 details. 1, you have to subscribe to the Last Free Nation Discord, and there's a channel there that's called like CS Hot Takes. 2, if you don't want us to read your name out, as in you want it to be anonymous in case we roast you, just say like you don't want your name read out, whatever. Because otherwise, I will read the name out. So Fighter Pilot has a take. So listen, he's done it right because he's done the thing where you lead with the hot take, then you explain yourself quickly while kassad loses his mind. So listen. The MongolZ being a top 5 team in the world right now is a more impressive achievement than Donk being crowned HLTV #1 in 2024, his rookie year as a rifler. So pause, let that marinate for just a second. Let it just clear on. Turn around, you know, the rotisserie chicken. It's being roasted. Get ready right now. Here we go. In CSGO, he's put a whole fucking paragraph. Just get ready for this legal case. In CSGO, it was unfathomable that an Asian team could ever do anything aside from a random BO1 upset in early stages of tournaments. The fact that a Mongolian 5-stack with an average age of 20.9 is a top 5 team and made the major final is unfathomable, especially with the last decade of CS. CS2 is a rifler's game. The AK is the strongest weapon, and it's not surprising that someone who mastered the mechanics the earliest on was able to be the best player in the world. He actually is referring to Donk there, obviously. In fact, MongolZ in 2024 had far higher highs than Donk. All right, Nero, calm calm down. And that was with an inferior weapon. He's actually arguing the option for to the AK. Okay, well what's good about this is he's doing a kassad. He's building in like accidental hot takes. Anyway, then it says it's not their fault, but with shorter games on maps which are generally T-sided, with more CTs with shitty half-buys, with a weapon that is able to one-shot someone in the same way as an AWP, but also get more multi. I can't believe he's making this AK sound so sickening. He's making it sound so OP, but also get more multi-kills to take advantage of weaker opponents. Oh my God, he says it at the end. He's done the kassad at the end. He leads at the end. Are you ready? The last sentence, Maui, makes it 1,000 times hotter and is a way better take than even the Mongols one. Because the last sentence, are you ready? I can't even believe I didn't read through before I got there. He said, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a rifler as HLTV #1 for the next 5 years. So as usual, he's done the kassad at the end. I thought the Mongols take was pretty hot. At the end, he's come with a blazing hot. Okay, who wants to take this? Who has a response?
Maui.
I mean, Zywoo is the front runner right now to win. If he thinks the last take is kind of bad because you kind of the best 5 people right now. You'd say 1 is a hybrid in Zywoo. You'd say 2 are oppers in m0NESY and Shiro, and then you'd say 2 are riflers in Rops and Donk. So, I mean, you just kind of scramble those around and add 1 or 2. I'd say the likelihood is that it's kind of 50-50 right now, whether someone's opper or rifler. Either way. Just back to the main take here for this guy. Getting a team to the top 5 from the Asia region is really impressive, but the donk season that we just saw, the donk year we just saw in 2024, even extending that to now, has to be the most impressive debut from a rookie ever. And I didn't think that we were ever going to see anything that surpassed Zywoo. I thought Zywoo was going to be the best rookie of all time with his 2019, and yet we got somebody who kind of cleared him. I feel like Donk's year was probably 25% better. You might even say 50% better, depending on how much you value the major victory and MVP. And the fact that he did it with a giga carry performance, like you look at the people that Zywoo had on his 2019, and yeah, none of them were in the top 20, sure, but there were people in the top 30 that were there. Like if you actually really want to just boil it down to HLTV's list. So the supporting cast was still actually relevant enough that Zywoo being incapable of getting them deep at a major is lacking compared to how crazy was Donk. Like I just don't even know, and you probably have more context regarding other esports. Like I've seen certain rookies hit the scene running in different games, but Donk took the entire game by storm and has more or less changed the face of the game. He's making people rethink conversations about rifles, about what's balanced, what's imbalanced, like what's fair, like is opping dead. I mean, because Donk made everybody think that the AK and entry rifling is the best thing ever, but then you look down the list of the top 5 and nobody else is an aggressive entering rifler. So he made everybody rethink that. And I guess to an extent, the Mongols did something similar. They made us think, okay, could an East Asian team actually accomplish something like them? But really, they haven't won anything. They actually haven't won anything relevant. They've won Thunder Pick. They've won Yala Compass. They didn't even get paid for one of those tournaments. So it's not even that impressive in a lot of ways. Like they're tier 1.5, tier 2 tournaments. They couldn't even win the tier 1.25 tournament, which is like the PGL Astanas or the PGL Bucharest. Like that felt like the red carpet was rolled out for them or Aurora, and neither of them could actually hold it up on their end. So Donk actually delivered on the hype that he created himself. The Mongols have yet to actually bear fruit regarding lifting a trophy. They haven't really lifted a single trophy in my eyes that makes for S tier or tier 1 tournaments.
Oof, what was his name? Fighter pilot? Well, I hope he's a better pilot than he's analyst, I guess, of this situation. But the thing is, like, it comes down to a couple of things. First of all, it comes down to the fact that Mongols haven't won a single thing as outside of what Maui said, and that doesn't really count as a proper event at all. the success they had being a top 5 is something we've seen before. We've seen before in 1.6. What was B made Fox or what was the other?
What was the thing?
Astro. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah, we saw that. So that's possible. Like
even your team, even Renegades, even Renegades getting to top 5.
We were top 5, yes, but we also didn't win anything except for one like star ladder thing. But the thing, and a bunch of minors. But the thing is, like, it's possible. Like this, and we saw it's possible. What Donk is doing, we didn't think it was possible. For me, it comes down to that one. Like we keep like glazing, or is that the word, of glazing? Like praising someone over.
Yes.
Yeah. We keep doing it with Donk, but people don't seem to realize how inhuman and out of this world is the things that he is doing. Like Maui said it nicely, people are rethinking some of the, concepts and like the established theories and, philosophies of the game after he showed up. Like the op is not really in a conversation after Donk. It's just how many people, obviously Monacy stopped playing so well, but how many people switched from Monacy to Donk, instantly, because what Donk was doing in 2024 and now in 2025 is just not normal. It's like it's simple at the same time. And I hear his like comms when he plays Face It. Obviously, I would like to hear the Russian translation when we from the games. Hopefully, we get to see that. I want to see how he communicates inside the competitive environment in the LAN events to compare it with like online pugs and Face It, which he plays super serious, by the way, and he doesn't fuck around with those. But the thing is, like, what he is doing is just uncomparable with anything else. Like, it's one level above. And if we didn't think it was possible, that's the main argument here. Like, nobody thought that a rifle would show up and just do this, right? We always thought that if the next prodigy, and every next prodigy after, let's say, NiKo, was an AWPer, right?
That's why everyone was always the next simple. That's what everyone said.
Yeah, Zaimu and MongolZ and, like, all those people, right? And then all of a sudden there is the guy called Donk. He's an entry fragger and he's delivering the unbelievable, impossible numbers every time. Like, what was the thing that Aaron Rodgers said? He's like, one of his like average season is the best season for most of the quarterbacks, something like that. But you can compare it with like average game for average event for Donk is the best event, or not even close to best event for 95% of the players. Like, it's just for me that to compare those things, I think he's onto something there, but like I don't think he's quite right. Like the thing is, like what MongolZ did in the year and a half for the Asian scene and the support they get from the country as well. You see that shit like with the fans and stuff, and I think that that's also an important part that people don't really talk about. But overall, I do believe that what MongolZ did is incredible. They did more than Renegades. They, my Renegades, they did more, right? Major finals, we were at the semis. They won multiple events, we won one. They played semis more times than we. It's just they did more for the whole eastern, east of kind of Russia, region. Till, Oceanic and Asian and whatever, right? But like I said, we also seen it before, multiple times. From the 1.6 era through the CSGO and now in CS2. They are just the Renegades of CS2, slightly upgraded and better. So until they win, a couple of events are real events like Colognes and stuff, which Donk already did, by the way. Those two things cannot be comparable. The only kind of thing that's, for me, it's amazing when it comes to Mongols, like outside of the other, like on the next level from the other things, is the fact that they're so young. That's the thing, right? They are so young, 20.47, something like that. And they are accomplishing this, so that's pretty incredible. But the take is out of place.
I think this is actually an ass take. It's really bad because, unfortunately, I even think the contrast and the framing is almost stretches credulity, because like we're talking about, the real problem with this, as far as I can tell, because if you notice, the parts about the Mongols part weren't that bad. They actually showed some sort of like historical understanding of how different the environment would be for a Mongolian team. That's as you said, it's all Mongolian players. There's not even any like old veteran player there who has like some old game knowledge. Yeah, if you do all the Mongol side, it sounds like he's going to make a point. The problem is the donk part completely destroys and undercuts the whole thing, because basically, Maui, what you were alluding to there, I can tell you, I am actually in the rare privileged position that I can contrast all the major esports games. I watch them all basically, except for like fighting games, which I don't consider esports. So if you want to know games like Dota, League of Legends, StarCraft, Quake, etc., it's not a joke. The only person who is comparable in terms of their debut year isn't even anyone from Counter-Strike. It's literally Faker from League of Legends, because Faker in League of Legends, the first year he played, became the best player in the world, maybe the best player ever, won the big regional championship, and then won the world championship. So he did all the things Donk did, basically. And now, look, you could even say, by the way, Donk might even be more impressive than Faker in that sense, because this is like 12 years after Faker did it, and esports is a lot more advanced since then. There's all this sports psychology and boot camps and all this extra stuff that we've leveled up with. But if you just want to compare like for like, that's the closest comparison you have. Even people like the greatest CS players ever, the greatest Dota players ever, the real reason why no one could ever do the donk is because even if someone like individually had a comparable level of play, it's almost never the case that they were ever in a team that could allow them to win like Donk did. And even then, by the way, I actually think the reason why most people think Donk is the GOAT is that's even one where it's tenuous how much of it really is like Spirit helping him win, and more like Donk making Spirit able to win, if you know what I mean. Like, so I feel like that one's even... So unfortunately, you've essentially picked what I would consider maybe the greatest outlier in the history of esports, and then you've just compared it to something which, as kassad and Maui pointed out, is certainly very impressive what MongolZ has done. And yeah, it was unexpected, and there's all these cool angles to it. And if you want to kind of ask how hard is it and how like much praise should it, yeah, okay, I'm with you. The problem is you've said it's more impressive than Donk existing. Whereas, like, as I always say, I used to say this about Faker or any truly great outlier player. One thing people miss is this: there doesn't ever have to be a Donk. Like, we could have just gone through all of history without a donk, without a simple, without a Z. You could have just had, like, a scene, by the way. There was, like, a really competitive top 3 or top 4 players. Like, you could have had a world where, like, right now, in CS2, it's just m0NESY versus, like, I don't know, fucking... I mean, Pixel Exertion versus Rops. You know, you could have like a very healthy game with some really great players. So, unfortunately, what he's missed there is, yes, MongolZ is a really weird themselves, like strange outlier team that no one expected to anticipate. But the problem is they're not as extreme relative to what Donk is in all senses of the game. So, no, I don't agree with it at all. I definitely don't. I also think as well, an angle that he's missed is, you can even argue as a final thing that, because, you know, he made all these points that were sort of like CS2 related points, like the idea of like, it's because the AK is more powerful on the T side now and all the CTs have half buys. It's like, yeah, but the downside of that is this. One, everyone gets to have that advantage. So I don't really know why that would make like Donk so much better. Like, by the way, here's one angle. I just want to throw this out there because I keep seeing this. This is the new Cope take from Zemu fans or people who hate Donk. The take goes, is Donk really that good, or is Spirit just doing everything for him? Well, then just watch him play CT side, you fucking idiot, because logically they can't be doing that, can they? Even if you believe, and by the way, this suggests to me you've never watched a demo in your life. Even if you believe somehow Donk is the only T-side player ever where all 4 other players just do everything for him, doesn't even make sense, by the way. Sometimes he literally dry entries, but okay, then just watch CT side, because logically the other 4 players aren't just playing for him, they're playing their spots. And by the way, on CT side, he's still the best player in CS, so I don't even know what that take is really. So I think it's a bad take. It's a bad take. I did like here's the thing though, I like that it stimulated lots of different potential conversation angles. I like that, but I think it's a bad take, especially because, as I say, look, one thing you nailed is you definitely nailed the hot take part. That's a 10 out of 10 on the hot take scale. Actual good point. It's more like a 3 out of 10, you know what I mean? It falls apart, I think, when you pick away at some of it or look at some of the context. Right. Do you have a take, kassad?
Yes. Let's just sit up, right. I was thinking, like, where should I go with this?
Oh, yeah, one last thing as well. I just realised one last thing to say. Maui's also right. The giveaway that your point isn't very good about Donk is the joke is, aside from Kasuk, where's the other donks then? Because I can tell you right now, and this is not like just like some meme they said this year. They say this privately. If you ask all the players who are in a donk type position, like an Exertion, like a fucking, like, I don't know, Senzu, they would tell you, oh, I think donk's like a million times better than me. They're not like, oh, I'm close. Like, so I also think if what you were saying was correct, there would be more donks in a way. If it was the game and it was the, you know, the circumstances. Whereas actually, like, I agree, donk still stands out. And also, even the rifle will be top 5 for the next 5 years. Well, yeah, because it'll be donk, mate. But if it isn't donk, the joke is like MongolZ and Zima were still there, mate. Like they could easily be number 1 for the next 5 years. So I also think that he as usual, like I said, 10 out of 10 hot take. Not very good point though. Go on, kassad. What were you going to say?
Just to add first to your point with donk, it's like. And the point that you made, like people are saying the people are doing everything for him in the team. I want to hear people say like, what is everything that they're doing? Just explain to me.
I don't even get it, mate.
Because I used to think similar, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this no more. I'm gonna start watching all of their games, literally in demos and in live games. And I want to hear people, what do they think it's doing everything for donk means? If they mean they flashed for him, yeah, but so does everyone else for everybody else.
And they don't even have the best stats for that, I can tell you. Some people did look this up after fans said it, and they were like, 6th the flash stats or whatever. Yeah, they were making it sound like he got 100% or something,
Take Ancient, for example, right? Take Ancient as a man, right? And donk is playing middle, he's the first guy out, right? You know how difficult that is, being the first guy out? Especially in the middle, when they're doing the double molly take, smoke molly, triple mid, and donk is coming out and just slamming people. Like, is that doing everything for him? No, you need to just kill those people that is difficult to kill. Not to mention your point when you said about the CT side. Yeah, they flash over connector on Mirage so he can pick. But still, he needs to pick 10 different positions at the same time, while mollies and nades and flashes are flying to him, ops are waiting for him, and all this shit. Like, just, nonsense. But let's switch to another point. And this one is about Falcons, obviously. I mean... And I came to a conclusion right now because I was like watching their games and thinking about it more deeply. And the hot take is this, that the number 1 problem right now for Falcons not making it is NiKo.
Oh, okay. I mean, he is playing one like the worst few months of his entire career statistically. So there's that.
But it's not statistically that I'm speaking. The thing is like the reason why that.
So what you mean really, kassad, is in many ways, if Falcons wants to do well, NiKo just needs to really do well and carry, and if he does that, then it's all about. No, that's weird how that works, isn't it, NiKo? Fucking hell, mate. Read the room before you. Read the room before you. Yeah, exactly. Listen, he doesn't know. I'm normally a NiKo defender, but you've divided my loyalties there, mate. If I have to pick between the two, I'm taking Leach for that one.
You're taking Leach, yeah, obviously. I mean, we know that. But the thing is, like I said, the main problem right now for Falcons is definitely NiKo, right? And why am I saying that? The reason why I'm saying that after they brought Kyosuke is this, right? You brought this superstar next donk, right? He's really good. He's unbelievably good, actually. Like what he does is mental as well. Not to donk level, but mental, And he has a better opper than donk has. I'm going to be honest with that, maybe. That's a hot take as well. MongolZ is better opper than Shiro. But the thing is, like, and on top of that,
I don't know where another mad take in the community, bro, is this take that like MongolZ sucks this year. Like his stats are still really good. He's had in recent memory he's had some bad tournaments. Like he's still been a very good fucking player this year, boys. Again, it's the same thing with the donk thing. It's like his bad tournaments is like what your normal opper would dream of having it. Yeah, no.
Yeah. When he has that kind of tournament, he just rewatches his games like 50 million times to boost his confidence. And that's like a down game for MongolZ But the point is like Kyosuke has MongolZ, similar like the donk has Shiro, but Kyosuke also has NiKo.
Yeah.
The problem inside the problem inside the server is there is not enough resources for all of them. Like nobody, you don't have enough frags. Somebody needs to set up the frags, somebody needs to rotate, somebody needs to call something, somebody needs to take a step down. And that's why I think the solution for NiKo being the problem is NiKo taking the IGL role. Finally, and once and for all. Right now, you can argue in G2 when people said you should take it. He maybe felt that he doesn't have enough pieces to support his IGLing by being the stars that he needs to provide the numbers that he needs, right? And right now, that's not the case. If you have Kyosuke and Monesi who love each other, by the way, they enjoy each other, blah, 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 whatever, right? Then you can take a step back, take the rotation spots, like Apex did in Vitality, take a step back in some positions, make the calls, make the rotations, and you will do better than an Apex 100% as an IGL if you are NiKo, right? And I can tell you that 1,000,000%. So the solution for them is it's in front of their eyes, right? They get rid of Kixen right now, today, tomorrow, whatever, after the event, after the Budapest major, doesn't really matter. I will do it Insta, but that's just me. And get an anchor. Anchor in a sense of bit, you know. Those type of players. But number one target would be bit. I wouldn't look at mouse, but I would definitely look at bit. And then you have a perfect roster. You can make your calls. You can make your moves. NiKo is a very smart player when it comes to CS. We've seen that in the past 10 years. And now he has the two incredibly talented young superstars that can deliver all kind of numbers for him. And he can be the third guy to support them and be the third guy that can call. And he has definitely enough experience to do that, enough skill to do that, and enough skill to outfrag or outcall any other IGL in the scene right now and in the future. On top of that, I mean, obviously, we are going to be touching the Zonic and Lars and whatever. I spoke about them way too many times, so I'm not going to do it now. But in order to fix this, it's just simple, you know, rotation of the roles, removing the IGL, him taking the IGL role, and I'm telling you, with 100%, you know, belief, I guess, is that they would become the number one team in the world.
How hard a take do you think it is? Do you think it's a hard take, Maui? Because he did it at the end. As usual, he did it at the end, where notice at the end he just slipped in, become the number one team in the world. Like, just lead with that. Just say FaZe or Falcons will be number one if NiKo kicks it and becomes IGL. That's a great take.
See, okay, there's a couple aspects to this one. First off, the initial take is good that NiKo needs to take responsibility. Yeah.
Just give me a second. The one thing that I forgot to mention, that if people think, he's going to get... NiKo is untouchable in Falcons. MongolZ is untouchable in Falcons. Kyosuke is untouchable in Falcons. So the core is there. Nobody can be replaced of those three in the next 3 years, 100% right now. So he doesn't have anything to worry about. That's what I forgot to mention. Go, Maui. Sorry again.
Okay, so the initial take, I really like it because NiKo needs to take responsibility and leave the rifle role and pick up the IGL role. No, just referencing the Hooksy tweet, of course. But But the thing I'm concerned about regarding this is that, yes, NiKo's performance individually has been weaker lately. I would bet actual money he regains form, as in he's gonna clearly play better than what he did at the major in Cologne, in my eyes. And then beyond that, I think we're shifting more to a CT meta, or we've already shifted to it. And so I find it to be actually very important to have better T-sides, better crafted T-sides, and just kind of throwing my memory back to, 2018 or so, when he was calling for FaZe. Was it 2019? Was it? I mean, I didn't really remember that the strats were all that great, but he could have learned a lot. I mean, that is a long time ago. That is like 6 years ago. So he definitely should have learned more in terms of how to build around. And I could assume that he's going to be a little bit better. I don't really. So what? I mean, if he's out, or if he's in as the IGL, then you kind of would want somebody like a Yimpat to take over some of the spots that Kixan used to play, which admittedly Falcons could do if they really wanted to. So,
and now it's the timing.
It's tough. I don't want to see it happen right now. Like, I feel like I thought Cologne they would do better than they did at the major. Turns out they didn't do any better, really. And then for the EWC, they are looking a little bit better, but who have they even played recently? It hasn't been that.
G2.
So that's a decent win. That's definitely a decent win, but we'll see today with MauisNake whether they're actually really good or not, based off of what what happened after the Cologne finish. Overall, in general, I think the take is it actually makes me think a little bit it's kind of also a rerun where NiKo needs to be the IGL again. Like we're just bringing out the classics here. I'm okay with it. I think it would be a decent move for Falcons, but I'd like to see kassad work with this roster for a little bit longer.
Let me ask you just a simple question. Just a simple question for Maui before you make your point. Do you think, like honestly, Falcons would do better with NiKo, IGL, Bit, or Yimpad anchored than this lineup?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I think they would. I mean, I think their CT sides would be nearly impenetrable at that point. I don't even know how you could really. Yeah,
there we go.
Like Tessus and Yimpad or Tessus and Bit as anchors sounds pretty broken to me.
This is why, though, I say you actually fucked up the hot take. You actually needed to lead that in the first sentence of the hot take, it included they will make them number one. Because here's the problem. If you just say, NiKo could be an IGL, everyone last year said after Dallas, why doesn't NiKo just become an IGL of G2 now or just Falcons in the future? And the joke is, the only reason it becomes hot take is because NiKo himself said in sort of an interview, like, I won't do that until I sort of know I can't be a star player or words to that effect, right? Which, by the way, I get that, and I'll come to this in a second. That's because he couldn't possibly have known that what people have missed, and this is where you guys will learn in the scene if you just listen to me what marketing is, because people have good ideas but they don't market it right. Like, I saw the HLTV people did a video when Keisuke was like announced as the player going to Falcons, and one of the points they made, and they even showed some quite interesting stats, is that the big mistake was because he's from Spirit, every fan going, he is the next donk. But if you ever look how Keisuke plays, his role is way more similar to NiKo's. He's more like the next NiKo, if anything. The problem you all have is you just go Russian, Spirit Academy. No, if you actually look how he plays in the game, it's actually a little bit more like tempered. It's more like an NiKo style of he picks his spots and when he goes in. Well, the obvious problem there is, in theory, that's why actually Falcons is a tricky roster right now, because you're trying to have the next NiKo with the current NiKo. So obviously, a way you fix that immediately is, why doesn't NiKo just become IGL? And also, if the reason he didn't do it before kassad, the logic goes, because he thinks he needs to be a star player anymore, well, maybe you have a player who could be a star player like NiKo, but not be you. So actually, you couldn't have known that last year in G2. I don't blame you for saying that. But the reason why I say it's not as hot a take is, because essentially I'll add in what your initial take is before you add the amplifier. The amplifier has become number one. If you just say NiKo should be IGL, they should remove kassad. By the way, I don't know anyone who's a huge kassad fan. He's just an alright IGL. And then thirdly, something, they've just got one of the best anchors in the world now, right? By the way, that last part's not just a tiny part of the that's why I made it a meme format, kassad, like, sign Yimpad or you bitch, question mark. The question mark is, how the fuck do you do that? How do you get Yimpad and Bit to join this team tomorrow? Like, it doesn't look like it's happening. They both seem like they're just staying in their teams. We'll see after this season, I guess, especially the Yimpad one. That seems to me that he might just even stay in Mouse. Like, maybe that's his vibe. Who the fuck not? And his game, by the way, it has actually fallen off. I mean, even Bits is up and down. But if you do all that, that's not as crazy, because that already is a pretty good roster on paper. That's why you have to say at the end, then they'll be number one. If then it means they then overtake whatever Spirit's roster is, whatever, then I think that's a good hot take, because that it implies that you don't just think NiKo could be like an alright IGL, you think he could be a really good IGL. And by the way, so do I. I actually do think at this point in time that if the Keisuke move, look, the problem with this, what makes it a hot take is we've only seen 2 lands, and not even full 2 lands out of Keisuke. Assuming Keisuke is going to play at this level, then I do actually think it's a great take, and here's why. Because I actually think you would take away so many of the problems of the teams. Like, first of all, kassad, he's never led a squad of giant superstar names. Like, so already I feel like you've nerfed whatever skill set he had as an IGL, and unfortunately to me he looks like he lags behind a bit. He doesn't look like he does have some like captain's fucking presence in that team. It seems like he's just the guy who calls and then they do whatever the fuck they want anyway and just cancel all his calls in the round. Then also, I'll throw this out there, which is that surely that whole thing of like, NiKo choked a bit, who gives a shit if he's the IGL? If he's the IGL, just make good calls, mate. You won't actually have the same burden to frag, so it doesn't matter anymore if you choke at the major. If fucking MongolZ and Keisuke just fragging everyone's head off and you make some good calls, it won't matter. You'll just win the matches. And then lastly, I'll even put this out there. I could even see a world where for the first year or two of being an IGL, he's not going to wake up and his hands have disappeared. Like, he'll probably still be able to have, like, it's actually what sadly Electronic should have done, but he fucked up both parts. He became a shit IGL and he tanked his game. But if you remember the first year or so, he still had some decent skills, mate. He could still shoot people. So I'm just thinking, bro, if I have, like, as you say, like a much better anchor, and then NiKo's job for real is be like, IGL and sort of third best fragger. By the way, I'll even give you an analogy. Essentially a better version of Blitz and MongolZ. I think that would actually be a really fucking strong team. It's why, even though I don't know if I'd agree with the last part, they'll become number one, because there's so many question marks on Keisuke and how will this roster work, and also NiKo himself's never done this long term. But I do think, I think it's a great hot take, because I think it's not impossible, put it that way. It's a really high stakes hot take as long as you add in the number one part, but it isn't implausible. It could happen, in my opinion. I do think it's possible you could do it. And I'd just love to see it, actually. I think at this point in his career, here's the other reason why I think NiKo needs to be an IGL bro. Because I was wrong in this sense. I used to think before that NiKo was just toxic when it came to IGLs. I think it's accidental. I actually think the real problem is this. I think he is just too good as a secondary caller and too good at calls for his own play, and that makes him naturally just short circuit the IGL. That's why I actually think him and Carrigan obviously don't work together. They're both trying to do the same fucking thing and make a mid-round call on the fly. Like, you can't have two cooks doing that. You need the head chef, don't you? In the same scenario, then what you do is you give him like these basic loose IGLs, well then he's just stepping all over their toes. And the problem with this is when NiKo plays like shit and the calls don't work for him, everyone just looks at the IGL like, what are you doing, mate? It's like, I don't fucking know. Like, I was being told to have my call cancelled. Why am I getting blamed? So in a way, I also think for his career, mate, he's sort of, mate, like, it's not that he's uncoachable, like you can't play with him as a star. I just think it's hard. I just think he's one of the harder people to work with. In English, you call it idiosyncratic. He has very specific things only about him and how he plays and sees the game that I think you have to connect with, otherwise it doesn't work. So I also think, unironically, it just probably help him. Like, as I say, the real genius, Kassad, if you loop your point back, is this. If Keisuke really is the next NiKo, then NiKo doesn't have to be NiKo anymore, and this is actually a safe transition. Because I also sort of did agree with him last year. If you were playing as well as he did in that second season, you would be like, wow, would I switch to IGL? Like, I can still shoot everyone in the head. Like, remember, up until, like, the middle part of this previous season this year, everyone still had this guy's like a top 5 player in the world. Like, it made sense you wouldn't go to IGL. I also think, by the way, if you look at the slump you're in right now, listen, I do think NiKo's one of those miracle people who just gets back to the top, but not forever. Eventually, you're just not going to... You go, guess what? You are going to fall, old man, and not get up. That is the nature of life, I'm afraid. Entropy, whatever. So eventually, he can't really always come back to being like the 6th best player in the world, can he? Like, so I even think it's a reasonable time for him to do it, because as you say, Kassad, it is actually implied that maybe even Zonic can be caught. But like, if you saw how horny they were courting NiKo, I would imagine he has like probably like some Nightmare Fuel Simple contract, Kassad, where the part Simple doesn't tell you when he gets mad at Na'Vi. Is, if I had to guess, because Simple's never revealed this detail, you notice, I would guess Simple probably even got his full fucking salary while he was on the bench the whole time, mate. One of the biggest in the whole world. Oh, if you're NiKo, surely you have the equivalent of the NFL guaranteed money with the biggest contract ever. Like, you're the player where in sports you could just break your leg tomorrow and you get all the money anyway. So as far as I can tell, they can't kick you and nobody could buy you and you wouldn't leave. So yeah, you're right. Actually, it's also a great time to gamble and make the move if you want to do it. Yeah.
He's too important for the PR as well. Like, he's...
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's crazy. He's the one, like, that's a bright light in that fucking organization as well.
Agreed.
Like, it just makes no sense for him not to do it right now. Because I think the main point, you said it yourself, is like, they have the supposed next NiKo. Like, he doesn't need to be the old NiKo in this lineup. He can be the better version of Apex, Blitz, whatever you want to, whoever you like better. It makes the most sense for me, at least, but yeah.
Which, by the way, it's not some implausible. Even though those are like sort of outlier IGLs, NiKo could do that, mate. I believe he could, yeah. Because we're not asking for as much fragging. Just give us a bit and make good calls, basically, yeah. And also, I'll even throw in there, to be fair, he does seem to have a bizarrely unique relationship with people like MongolZ. Keisuke seems to fuck with them, so maybe he'll even have like the read on these guys. Right, okay.
All right, what's your take?
Okay, here's my take. My take is also a very on-brand take, because unfortunately, sadly, it's not my choice, boys. It's a bit unfalsifiable right now, because when I look, I'm trying to see what tournaments are they even going to play at, right? Okay, so if you think of this last tournament we all just saw, Cologne, and then, right, here's my take. I actually think that the NIP squad... The problem here is I don't even know what tournaments they're going to be because they're like 21st in fucking HLTV and the VRS. I think if you lined every team up today and they all had to play in every tournament, I think NIP would actually crack the top 10. I think it would be like the 10th best team in the world. I think actually the squad looks like the pieces are in the right places. If you actually even look at like the setup on the T side, and I think if you just watch the games at Cologne, I actually thought this team wasn't even just hype. Like, bro, nobody hyped this squad. I think this team actually just has like real potential. matches look fucking good. I don't even think it has that crazy pieces, but I think it just has like solid pieces that are all like, most of them are pretty good or like slightly better than the name. And then I actually thought the way they played together was pretty good. They could have won a bunch of these matches. I didn't see any game where they were just getting shit on, you know. So bear in mind, you have a look at the top 10 now, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Number 7's FaZe, number 8's Aurora, number 9's Falcons put to one side, but number 10 is Pain, number 11 is Astralis. Like I think if they had an invite to all the LAN tournaments coming up now, they could be the 10th best team. There's my hot take.
Whoa.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Go for it.
Did you just look at the HLTV ranking right now? Like the last, for. Okay, let's. It's a crazy take. I can't see it. The thing I can't. You started. You want to take it or should I?
You're already on a roll. You're already.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm looking at the ranking right now, and obviously you can compare them to Spirit, Vitality, Mouse, MongolZ. That's for sure, right? Which puts them on number 5. In that case, right? But do you believe that they can beat Aurora or Falcons? I don't think so, right? They cannot. In 10 games, they would lose 9.5 against those teams. Let's see who else is there. Furia, they are playing better. We have to admit it. They are playing better than they were before. In most games, they would lose against Furia. Yeah, most games. Navi.
I mean, I saw Furia get dusted off by fucking Pain at the major, but all good. It's all good.
They would lose to Pain too. They would lose to Pain.
They just lost to Pain. They just lost to Pain 2 weeks ago.
Navi, they couldn't compete with Navi, even in this shit state or FaZe, in this shitter state. G2 is another thing. Astralis, I can't. They would beat Astralis at least. But the thing is, like, G2, I don't think they could match with G2 at all. Even Gamer Legion is better than them, who is
not Gamer Legion.
When you look at the players, they should be better than them, but I'll give you the 50-50. VP, I don't know. I also think Liquid is better than them. The bunch of these South American teams like Legacies and, you know, even Tyloo is better than them, for fuck's sake. For me, the thing is that they have done a better job improving since what they were like before Snappy and you know, who did they have, this Kaspersky guy or Promens. It's better. It's looking better. And they deserve some invites. At least they're going to get at some close qualifiers, or I don't even know how it works anymore. It's all fucking crazy to me anyway. But are they top 10? That's a big ass stretch. I think if you said, like, by the end of the year, if they get to play 3 or 4 more events, they would get to top 15.
That's not much of a hot take, though, is it? That's the problem. I'm making a hot take here.
Yeah, but it's just, I think you overcooked it right here with 10IP. If you said somebody else, maybe like Tyloo or something, right? That people can just, you know, see them winning, see them playing good, beating Astralis, winning an event, getting to top 10. I can buy that, but 10IP, I just can't see it. They seem to not have any identity. And if I was Navi, I would look at Wrinkle instantly to replace Wonderful. Just saying. They should put NIP in a fucked up spot, but they are exactly where they need to be.
What makes it a hot take, Kassad, is, like I say, 1, they don't have big names. Like, even Snappy's not a big name anymore because of Falcons. And then 2, they haven't played much sample size with this roster. But all I'll tell you is, the ex-Kaspersky guy actually looks really fucking crispy, bro. He looks like he fits in that team awesome, and Snappy has a read on him. Wrinkle's up and down, but I always say with Wrinkle, he's not the AWPer that has, like, crazy production, like, numbers. But I think if you watch his style of play, like, that's like an impact AWPer for me. And then actually, even the U-Jerks angle's actually, like, working out fairly decently. So I am gambling a lot here, but
that is a big ass gamble. It's like the thing is, like, when you say a hot take, I listen to the hot take, I listen to the explanation, the point, and I'm looking for a chance for that to happen, right? So I can gamble or not, right? But here I don't see the chance with these 5. I don't see a chance, even if you say Kaspersky is good. They have, you know, some of the Wrinkle is obviously good, and you know, you said U-Jerks is decent. Is that enough, really?
I mean, one of the reasons I make this take is I also felt like when I watched them play, I think they're quite a coherent team. Whereas one of the things I think is the worst in Counter-Strike 2 right now is once you get out of the top 4 that you mentioned, mate, I think the coherence in these squads just falls off a cliff. Like most of the other teams in the top 20 have like a player they should probably kick, or like, is this guy even good, or fuck, like they got like 2 maps or something, you know. So I also think there's so much crazy variance at that point. But I think you went too far the other way.
For scenario.
You're taking like Legacy to be better. No way, mate. Forget that.
Like,
Legacy did one major run ever that didn't even culminate in a playoffs run. They'll never do anything again. I miss
Legacy is maybe a stretch. Legacy is a stretch.
And then the Liquid one. Here's the problem, kassad. In theory, Liquid should be better than NIP, but Liquid can't win a fucking match, mate. Like, at least NIP can actually hit 13 rounds within regulation and get a check mark on a tournament. Like, Liquid can never close a game, bro.
Counter question for you between Liquid and NIP. Gun to your head, figuratively, gun to your head. You have to pick a winner, best of 10, best of 3s, like 10 games, right?
Oh, I would take NIP. There's your hot take.
You take NIP
because here's the problem. I was a massive Liquid fan the second they added Shuhei. The whole time, I even messaged fucking Shuhei after the major, like, stick with it, mate. The roster still looks good. This should work. Like, I can't keep on that fucking track at this point in time. Like, I've seen the problem now is this Liquid lineup has now played a decent sample size. I will admit they did stupidly wait a long time to add the coach, which means that it's hard to determine, like, should he have more time or not, you know. But the actual roster of these 5 players just doesn't work, bro. The worst thing is as well, they do what I actually think is the worst thing you can have in a team, which is that they play just well enough. Everything's a moral victory. Do you know what I mean? Like all these fucking Vitality games. Like, hey, but you play not, but you never even win a map, mate. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you have to eventually hit 13 rounds. You know, no matter what it takes, whether it's shit, whether it's all. The problem is the last thing you want is the guy where it's like, I mean, mate, you get this in like combat sports. You know, the people who are always like an entertaining fighter and they're really good and they can match up, but they never win. They're never going to be the champion. Those people, that gets old after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, whatever, just give me something else. The thing is, like I said, I'm looking for a scenario where this can happen, and I don't see it.
I'm making it a hot take.
In this 5.
It's all good.
In this 5. Go, Maui.
Yeah.
I can't pick. I could pick 10 teams above them. That's the thing. I when I went through the list, I mean,
all right, give me your quick 10 then. Obviously, skip the top 3. We know those. Okay.
Well, I mean, it makes it easier if I just say everything.
Go for it quickly.
Honestly, I'll count on my fingers to make it easier. Spirit, Vitality, Maus, Na'Vi, Falcons. I would actually lately I kind of can't believe I'm saying it, but I would lately take VP and G2.
Fucking hell, VP, another team that never wins matches, bro. Never wins matches. No.
They won a few. They won a few lately that have convinced me.
By the way, gun to my head, I'll take them against VP all day long, man. I'll be dead gladly if so. I win either way. Either I'm right and Nip wins, or I just get killed and don't have to watch VP play fucking CS and Electronic. Well, by the way, that should have been a hot take. Electronic should just be forced to retire from Counter-Strike. He's pissing his own legacy. You know what I mean?
I'll even give it to this. I'll give it to Snappy on this. I think that it would be a really close series. He is clearly working with worse pieces than VP have. Like Flit and Fame are better than anybody on NIP for riflers. Okay, and then, but I think Wrinkle's a better opper than Icy. Shush is okay. Whatever. I don't need to go through all of these players. Either way, I think Fury is better right now. Pain literally beat them 2 weeks ago, so I'd probably have to take Pain right now. And then MongolZ are better. That's already 10. That's already 10 right there. So even the contentious one being VP.
We both skipped 3D Max, right?
Yeah, for good reason.
I'm not definitely taking 3D Max. I'm not definitely.
Here's the difference, kassad. Because 3D Max doesn't have some VP lineup of good players. I'm glad 3D Max exists, but just to like keep real teams honest, they're not actually like a top team.
Yeah,
that's not even being unfair. Look at the squad; like they shouldn't be a top. If anything,
3D Max are the 1.5 gatekeeper.
To put it this way, to me, the 2 teams right now that are the crazy overperformers are Tyloo and 3D Max, which is like they shouldn't. There's no diss against them. They're supposed to be top teams. So if they can get any wins, fair play. You're all killing it, boys.
Yeah, it's just I even in tier 2 scene, I think there are too many teams that can just not always, but in enough times beat NIP for me to think that NIP is not good enough for close to top 15, not even top 10. That's the problem that I have.